What's up, people? Welcome back to the channel. It is that time again. You got right here, we got the ban list that says it's gonna come, next one will be in a few months. Last one was at the end of September, and yeah, I understand, like, it hasn't really been that long, but Konami kind of has this thing where, like, they say a few months, and it's either about 2.5, 3 months worth of time goes by, or we end up getting a whole bunch of new product, a whole bunch of new decks, and Konami obviously has to kind of phase certain things out, keep certain things around. So that's kind of what we're doing here. As you can see, I have a lot of tabs open. I have a lot of stuff I want to talk about. So I'm gonna try to kind of keep it, I don't want to make it too long, but at the same time, I do got a lot of info. I'm gonna try to get this prediction as close as I can, because I want to really start getting on top of the meta. So this right here is going to be a prediction, so I'm going to try to see how close I get. So I might do a follow-up video to kind of compare and contrast to see if I was on the same kind of page as Konami. So if you like what we do, please feel free to like and subscribe. If not, it is all good. We do videos like this all the time, discussions, talk about the meta, talk about the market, talk about all that kind of stuff. We are trying to get a 500 subscribers by the end of this. Well, we're trying to get a 500 subscribers period, but if we get a 500 by the end of this month, I will throw into my natural giveaway, because I'm giving away 2 TCG player gift cards at $25 each, and then also I will add a box of 25th anniversary collection. So if we get a 500 before the end of the year, it'll be a box of anniversary collection on top of the 2 TCG player gift cards and a special tournament I will be hosting at my local. So with all that out the way, let's go ahead and get into this list. As we do here, we start every single list off with free Zen Meidi. Why free Zen Meidi? I really feel like Zen, the windup should really come back as like a fun deck. I personally want to play the fun deck. There's no more Scythe Lock, because you used to be able to Scythe Lock with this deck, but there's no more Scythe Lock. It's just going to be a little fun spam deck, maybe a couple cool little combos. So I really would like to see this toolbox deck come back. Just go ahead and ban Hunter, whatever you want to do. I know you want hand loops, but let's go. Yeah, so let's go getting into the realest free Zen Meidi. This first card that honestly needs to get banned is a hot red dragon, Archfiend Calamity, King Calamity. It's pretty straightforward. You have the Centurion. Centurion is a really good deck, and I understand that, like, some people say that, oh, without without this card that they're bad, and it's like, I really think that deck can adapt, and I really feel like just turning off turns is just super toxic. I mean, this is obvious, but at the same time, Konami needs to promote some of these other decks. Like, you can't yeah, I'm pretty sure like the Snake Eye of Fire King deck could match up against this, but if someone wants to play some of the other decks, yeah, then they're gonna have this in the way. So I really feel they're gonna want to get rid of this. Just go ahead, they are done. Cowback, the Ancient Vanguard, and to an extension, Agito, the Ancient Sentinel. Both of these cards are just gonna have to get banned. This right now we're talking about banned cards. So from Calamity on until I say anything, we're talking about cards that just have to go to 0. And I understand a lot of people are feeling like, oh, I still like playing Tyrannos, blah blah. Look, I understand, but one, the deck is extremely resilient, so there's almost no there's like very, I shouldn't say that, because the deck isn't like tier 1, but in the hands of the right person or with the right mills, this deck becomes instantly tier 1. Like, in some people's hands it's just like whatever, but even in those people's hands, you get the right mills and you could just go off. So there's a lot of situations where these people, they're very knowledgeable at the game, and they either get lucky or they just sit there and just mill a whole bunch of cards and they're able to get the win. And I really think that Konami is just kind of done with tier element. Like, they sat there, they made their money, it's had its run, and I just think they don't want to keep decks like that around, especially when they're trying to introduce an entirely new set of tier 1 to tier 0, because you got a lot of stuff coming out. You got like support for Melodious, support for Ritual Beast, you got support for a lot of decks that Konami probably wants people to try and get a chance at, and if you have tier element around, it's just gonna kind of just steamroll some of these stuff. So I think Agito and Cowback, both of these, they got to go. Beatrice, Lady of the Eternal. This is kind of random, but I had it in my mind. I'm like, I'm pretty sure the tier elements would just find a way to just summon Beatrice eventually. And to be honest, I've heard a lot of people talk saying that Beatrice has to go, and it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna throw it in here as a preemptive hit. This one right here, to be honest, I feel like they should keep it. I don't think Beatrice should just go away, but if they really want to make sure tier elements are not coming back, because that's the reason why we cannot have the freaking Chaotic Dragon, because then tier element players will just be like, okay, well then we're just going to run that engine and get the cards in there anyway. So I really feel like anything to just prevent them from sending stuff to keep the deck down, Beatrice might have to die for the sins of cheer element. So to Beatrice to 0. Now this one right here is probably gonna like hurt a lot of people because in Infernobles is a fan favorite deck, and then it's also like a lot of people really do like the deck. It's a cool deck, it's a fun deck. It's a deck that's not like, you know, it's not like super crazy all up in the top tiers winning every tournament, but to be honest, the type of board that it puts out is extremely toxic and hard to break. And there's also a couple cards, to be honest, that kind of make it even more toxic. So this right here is not really I'm gonna cheat a little bit because like this is not really an individual call, but I'm gonna call out 3 cards that Konami could ban to either kill Infernoble or really slow it down. So obviously Divine Sword Phoenix Blade, if they ban this card, then pretty much I wouldn't say that the deck is not dead, but the deck is extremely hindered. You still have a lot of different stuff that you could do, a lot of different combos, but you are not putting out some of these big double Charles boards with the same ease as you were kind of, like kind of how it was. Like there is no just summoning 2 warriors into the Soul Day and going into a combo. You're gonna have to really have more extenders. So Divine Sword Phoenix Blade could be a huge hit to the deck that might be too much and might keep a lot of people away. So I kind of feel that Konami, like I said, because Konami needs to make room for the upcoming stuff. You gonna have transaction rollback coming out, so they're gonna want people to run trap decks. They're gonna want people to run, some like the newer stuff. They have the Fire Kings, they have the Ritual Beasts and the Melodious stuff. Like I said, there's a lot of other really good support coming out. So I really feel like decks that either are very oppressive like Chair Elements, or decks that like just put up boards like Infernoble, they really want them out. So Divine Sword Phoenix Blade would be a huge hit that would really hinder the deck, that would really bump it down to maybe even tier 2 status, depending on how powerful the other stuff is. But there's also other hits that they can make, keeping Phoenix Blade to keep the deck powerful, but also keep the deck from being as toxic. And those 2 cards I would say is Neospace and Aqua Dolphin. If they were to ban Neospace and Aqua Dolphin, it would make it harder for them to play through hand traps, obviously, because they wouldn't be able to look at the hand. They wouldn't be able to get the hand knowledge, and they wouldn't be able to rip like some type of Ash Blossom, or well, they probably would have already used Ash on that, but they wouldn't be able to rip like a Veiler or like a Droll, or just some type of extremely impactful hand trap that, like, because like Veiler and Droll like very good against stick. So it's like if you have if you have the ability to simply get rid of that and then get the hand knowledge, that's actually really important. I've lost a lot of games to a lot of my homies who play this deck, who simply, just because they looked at my hand and they just put the exact board that would just out my hand. So Neospace and Aqua Dolphin I think would be a very fair hit, to where like they lose the hand rip, they lose the hand knowledge, but they keep the ability to like do all their spamming, so they can still put up a big board. And then another card that I think they'd be able to hit, maybe they could hit both these cards, hit both Aqua Dolphin to 1, hit the bring this to 0, and also to 0 ban Metal Silver Armor, because this is also one of the cards that kind of like really promotes an extremely toxic board, a board that is very hard out, very hard to get rid of. Only certain interactions are allowed, and there's some decks that either could only do those interactions with certain kind of combo lines that pretty much are already going to be like negated by all your interruptions, or it's just simply impossible for them to do it. So I do feel that there is a possibility for them to bring both the Aqua Dolphin and the Metal Silver Armor to 0, and if they bring those 2 cards down, that'll really kind of bring down the ability to make good end boards and play through hand traps, or they could just bring down the power level completely and take out Divine Sword 2-0. Alright, that is it for the ban cards. Now we're gonna go off and we're gonna talk about, first I'm gonna do this honorable mention. I really feel like they need to bring Pankratops off the list, especially if Fenrir's still at 3. I have Fenrir on this video, so I'm gonna talk about Fenrir, but to be honest, Pankratops, I really feel Pankratops is going to have to just come off the list. Let's just kind of get that out the way. Nothing too much to talk about there. A lot of people want him off. And there's a lot of people, you got the Zodiac wrap here, and then you also got the Dryden. To be honest, I don't think Konami's going to do this yet. Because I know in Master Duel they kind of like let it go, and then some people don't care, some people think it's crazy. I think it'd be so crazy if they brought back Zodiac. I would want them to do it so bad. I love this deck. I would play this deck the second it comes back. But another thing is, I don't think Konami's gonna do this. So this is just like I'm just throwing this in there just because if it happens, it happens. But I don't think Konami's gonna do this yet. But also, people don't realize that if we don't have more Barrage, then it's gonna be a little iffy. If Konami brings back one Barrage, one Dryden, and they bring back like multiple Rat, then okay, we could talk. Then maybe Zodiac could do a little something crazy. But for anyone wondering if Zoo's gonna be here, Zoo is just more of like a kind of an honorable mention. Like, yes, Konami could do it, but I think it's a little too soon. They might want to let it go on Master Duel for another season, and then on the next list, we might get a little bit of Zoo action. And then obviously Redox Dragon Ruler of the Boulders and title. This one right here is closer to my heart. I really want them to bring back the Dragon Rulers. I love Dragon Rulers. I want all of them to be at one. I really don't think they're gonna do too much, but I feel like there could be a really fun, or maybe even like a tier 1.5, maybe even a tier 1 Dragon deck, but like it'd be very easily breakable, kind of like flashy. So I really do want to see if the Dragon Rulers can, you know, regain their plant ruler status. Maybe here, maybe there is something, but this one right here, I would love to see them bring both of these back to one. And yeah, so I think they're gonna come back on this list, if not the next one. Okay, so Cashier Fenrir is also probably going to be at 1. This one could be at 2. You know, to be honest, maybe I want to miss that list, but I think Konami is maybe gonna want to, maybe they might put Cashier to 2, but I think they're gonna really avoid the semi-limitless because they really want to bring the power level down. So I think they're just gonna be like 1 1 1 1 1. So Cashier Fenrir is gonna, like, on this, I feel like it's gonna be going to 1. This is gonna be a solid card going to 1, and if they do this at 1, maybe they might be Pank back, maybe they do Pank to 2 or Pank to 3, so that way they kind of give us some stuff back. But to be honest, Fenrir is a very oppressive card. Cashier itself is not doing anything good, but Fenrir is just thrown in so many decks. It's kind of just like SP Little Knight, to where everyone's running it and Konami's like, okay, wait, I think we want to hit it. I didn't put SP Little Knight on this list simply because I feel like Konami, like, even though it's really good, Konami probably might do it just to like satisfy the player base, but Konami doesn't always satisfy the player base. Konami wants to satisfy themselves, and I really feel like they're going to keep SP Little Knight at 3 to push more product, to maybe, you know, get that, you know, get the reprint train going. But Cashier Fenrir has run its course, and I think they're going to bring Cashier Fenrir to 1. Now, I really feel like Rescue Ace is going to get a huge consistency hit. There's I feel like a lot of their spell and trap cards are gonna remain, you know, the same. Like, you're still gonna be able to, like, you know, have access to a lot of them, but these 3 cards I feel they're gonna put to 1, so that way they could push the next card. Rescue Ace Airlifter, mainly because I also do see, like, there is kind of a little bit of an engine where people during this one, and I forgot what the other one was, but it has the ability to like prevent your player from like using the effects of monsters, so it actually could target the X Purely Noir. So like it's like a little combo that I've seen a couple people playing. So so like some stuff kind of has reached up into other decks, but for the most part, I feel like Rescue Ace Airlifter, Emergency, and Rescue Ace Turbulence all will be brought down to 1, simply because I feel like Konami's still gonna want this deck to be playable. So they're gonna leave like you know, they're still gonna leave the whole combo line, but they're gonna make it more susceptible to getting hit by some type of hand trap, because like that's kind of one of the big things I feel about Rescue Ace. Like not only Rescue Ace has like a small like a small enough engine where you could run other stuff, like you could run the Snake Eye, you could run the Diabellstar, you could run a whole bunch of different stuff in there, but at the same time, you could just like, it has the ability to play around like imperms. You could play around like the Veilers. You could sit there, even if you kind of get interrupted like an Ash, you still have some other stuff to kind of tribute out, or to tribute things off the field to get into your plays and still be able to resolve your turbulence. So I kind of feel like Konami's going to want to sit there and say, okay, like if we want these other decks to like be solid tier 1s, then we're going to have to make Rescue Ace more fragile. So I think, like I said, bringing down the Airlifter, Emergency, and the Turbulence to 1 is going to be what they want to do. They're going to want to keep Hydrant, they want to keep the consistency, they want to keep all the back rows, so that way you could still have that going, because they don't want to kill the deck. They just want to make it more fragile, so that way that way it's just more susceptible, so that way people are more skewed to play the newer stuff. So that's what I feel Konami's going to try to be doing here with Rescue Ace. This one hurts my soul. I love Unchained. And when Unchained came out, I was just super on it. I was able to get like a lot of, not a lot, but I was able to get a couple of first place at my locals. I was able to like always kind of in the top 4 of my locals when I was like playing my Unchained. I really love this deck. I played it a lot. When I kind of took a break from competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, just played casual with my friends. I almost strictly played Unchained for like that entire like 2 kind of like almost like 2.5 year kind of stretch. And I really feel that like even though Unchained is a little newer than like Rescue Ace and some of the other decks I'm talking about, they're gonna want to hit some of the consistency. I really don't think they're gonna want to hit the main power of the deck. Just they want to hit a couple of these consistency cards that they have that make the deck really good. One of those is unfortunately going to have to be Unchained Soul Shavara. It is very easily summoned. You really only need one to do the combo. Having multiple copies is just kind of like is just really a extra luxury that the deck has to be able to get extra bodies, to be able to play around hand traps. But to be honest, if you through your natural combo, you could actually just search one, use one for use one as a link, use one as this, use one as that, and then be able to like eventually kind of get one in your graveyard to recycle it to use it on your turn. So there is still going to be a way to do all the natural combos. You're just going to have to you can't just have the luxury of having one in your hand, searching one, using one for the combo, and then having one in your hand without having to worry about the other one that's under an XYZ monster. So like I said, just gonna be more of like you're gonna have to be a little more smarter like with this card. But I think they're gonna bring this card down to 1, along with Tour Guide. Tour Guide, unfortunately, is probably gonna have to die for the sins of Unchained. I really would rather them keep this card at 3, but at the same time, it's like they either have to bring this card down to 1, or they're gonna have to bring either ban the D2D monster or bring the D2D search card to 1, and there's just no need to hit D2D. D2D's not doing anything. That'd be unfair to hit a deck. It'd be unfair to hit a one of the deck's best cards simply because it's used as a side engine or as a option in another deck when you have all these other options. So I really feel they're not going to sit there and just punish Unchained. They're not going to just punish D2D players for that. I think unfortunately Tour Guide and Shavara are all going to have to go down. To 1 in order to keep kind of the other stuff around. So that's going to be the hit to Unchained. It's still going to be a good deck. I'll still be tier 1, but like I said, you're not going to have the Tour Guide to be able to easily 1-card combo. While you still have it, but you're not going to be able to have 3 copies of them. And then you're also not going to have the Shavara to be able to easily kind of play around stuff. You have to be a little more smarter with the things that you do. Runic Tip to 1. If they bring Fountain to 1, then I'll tell you right now, it's going to change my entire philosophy of this next format. In this next format, I've actually made a decision where I might jump off of Runic, and this is the first time I've decided to jump off of Runic in a very long time. I've been on Runic for so long. Every once in a while, I kind of jump off here and there, but for the most part, Runic has been the deck I've been running for the past over a year. Probably over a year since it came out. It's kind of been like a deck that's been in my hands, and to be honest, Runic Tip needs to go to 1. Especially you got I understand the Joshua Schmidt top was very much player dependent. I really feel like he understood what he was doing and he took that deck and used it, and people didn't know what was going on. But even besides just that top, there's so many different Runic variants that are kind of always going to be coming around, and as long as Runic Tip is at 3, even with only 1 Fountain, I feel Runic is always going to be a crazy good engine. And Konami, if you want to leave this engine, please, yeah, go for it. I would love for you to leave this engine. If this engine is left in the game, that would kind of make me happy because I would always have something to fall back on, always have something to kind of play test with, always have something I feel like I could bring as like a crazy meta option. But at the same time, I understand that it might be Runic's time. Runic Tip might have to come to 1 simply because it is just so good in pure Runic and any other variant. Doesn't matter what you're trying to do, this is just an amazing card. You bring this to 1, and a lot of Runic variants just kind of come down no matter what it is. So Runic Tip to 1, I think that really needs to happen. Purely Sleeping Memory also has to come down to 1. Like I said, the Konami's going to want to hit the other decks. That's the reason why I'm going really hard, I want really Runic Fountains to come to 1, because I'm really banking on Konami saying this is the time where we need to get rid of, well, not rid of, but we really need to bring down the power of all the other decks to promote the use of these other full power decks. So Purely Sleeping Memory, the fact that you're able to get the level 1 purely from your deck, and then also the ability to draw all those cards, that is probably going to just go away. They're going to bring Sleeping Memory to 1, and this right here would still keep Purely as a good deck. Purely would still be a good deck. People are still going to want to use it. In the OCG, they're still using it, but without all that draw power, it's gonna make the crackback harder, and I really feel like people are gonna just kind of, just like I said, they're gonna be skewed to play the more stronger stuff if they can't benefit from the Sleeping Memory. That's just kind of my my mindset. All right, so the next couple cards I'm gonna talk about are staple cards that just finally need to get brought to 1. We're starting with Pot of Prosperity. Pot of Prosperity, to be honest, I don't want it to go to 1. I would like it to stay. I love it as a consistency card. It gives so many decks that are just alright the ability to just have a really nice search card that gets them into anything they need. It just got reprinted, so a lot of casual players and a lot of players that are like, oh, I finally got this card in my deck, let me be so consistent, and it really does make consistent, are gonna lose that consistency. I'm sorry, but Konami has cashed in on this card. I really feel like it's gonna be time for them to bring this. I don't think they're gonna do it to 2, because if it's to 2, like I said, like with Desire, to be honest, like it doesn't really hurt that much. A lot of people are running 2 Desire anyway because they never wanted to Desire into Desire. People do want to run triple Pot of Prosperity simply because it does, like, yeah, you don't want to run into it, but at the same time, I think they are going to want to just address stuff like this. There's certain decks that just really love this card, and if you bring a lot of the cards I mentioned down to 1, but you still have 3 Pot of Prosperity, then it really doesn't do anything, because you're able to just dig for a lot of those cards anyway. So I think Pot of Prosperity is going to have to become one of staple. That's just going to be a casualty of the meta. Triple Tactics Talent is another card that I feel is going to be a casualty of the meta, down to 1. I understand a lot of people, like, this is like, it's like, oh, it's kind of not fair because, like, we have Call by the Grave at 1, then yeah, now Triple Talent goes to 1, Hand Traps are going to run wild, and to be honest, yeah, I think Konami really wants to push Crossout Designator. I really feel like they want to be able to, like, cash in on another Crossout Designator. They want to put it in another set. They really want that card to be the one that we're all running, because, like, I kind of see, I'm looking at the OCG, I'm looking at where we're going, and we're all gonna have no choice but to start running Imperm, Ash, Nib, and Droll. Those are going to be 4 extremely powerful hand traps. We're all going to be running it, and we're all going to be losing to all 4 of those cards. So I really feel like Konami's kind of forming it to where we are going to need that Crossout Designator. So I really feel like Triple Tactics Talent is going to be brought to 1, so that way to encourage people to run Crossout or other cards that will negate hand traps. And then this is the last, and then the last card I'm going to talk about is Dimensional Shifter to 1. So many people have been asking for this card to go to 1. So many people beg for this card not to go to 1 because this is a check to many different strategies. But if Konami's serious about keeping the power of the next generation of decks strong, because you got a lot of decks coming out that if you shift them, it's pretty much over, or they're really slowed down. Shifter enables, that's the reason why Flu is still around so hard. I mean, I understand, like, M-Pin's a good card and everything, but Dimensional Shifter is a huge part of why Flu is still around. Dimensional Shifter is a huge part of why you have just these blowout decks. I feel like Shifter has run its course. Shifter, I wish it would stay, because I like having it there as an option. And if Shifter's good, then I just run a deck that doesn't lose so hard as Shifter. You feel me? But at the same time, if Konami wants to promote stuff like transaction rollback, they want to freaking promote. They want to promote like the Fire King. They want to promote any of the Diabalstar stuff, the Horus stuff. A lot of those things are going to be graveyard focused. Dimensional Shifter, I think it has to go to 1. It's going to be a blowout, but at the same time, I think Konami rather just have this as like the blowout card, the way it is, than kind of have it at 3, because being Maxi being like a blowout card is like, okay, like, you're gonna draw and everything, but with Dimensional Shifter, both players have their have the graveyard. I mean, a lot of people are gonna run a deck that doesn't really get affected by it, but if it's at 1, maybe it might just be a blowout card and it might hinder the other player. I don't know exactly what Konami's thinking, but I really do feel like Shifter's gonna have to go to 1. Alright guys, that's it for the video. It went way longer than I wanted it to, but at the same time, that's kind of how it goes. I had way too many tabs open to kind of make this super short. Alright guys, peace out. Catch you in the next one.